Oh, baby. That should be fun. All right, so this will be a feedback slash critique for Ayreon. I guess just about the Hwoarang matchup, not necessarily any specific questions that I'm seeing. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. Learn the matchup, right? The always ever so infamous phrase. Just lab it, bro. I'm just gonna get into the TLDR my thoughts on that whole situation, right? If you're not a tournament player, if you're just playing for fun, and if you're just kind of like, it's whatever. You play this game, you enjoy it, but you're not necessarily gonna grind for it, right? I think it's a perfectly acceptable position to just kind of go, all right, I don't enjoy this Hwoarang matchup. I only have so much limited time, blah blah blah, and you kind of accept this matchup as a sunk cost and just kind of go, or you kind of accept it as a loss and you move on with your life. However, if you're a tournament player, if you're someone who does enjoy the grind, who really wants to kind of like that journey of self-discovery, self-improvement, etc., and you want to like really hone in on this matchup and really play this game at a intermediate high level, whatever, right? There's a certain point where you just kind of go, you see this dude's face, this fucking eye patch Chuni, right? And you kind of have to go and bunker down and learn this matchup, right? At the end of the day, there's only so much generic advice and kind of like, hey, brush up on these tactics here, stop doing whatever you're doing here, and you just kind of have to go, all right, it's time to learn this matchup. Now, the trade-off, right? Thankfully, the trade-off is that Hwoarang becomes a lot more manageable once you know this matchup, right? You can take more advantage of his lack of defensive options. You can kind of just go, all right, you can make it a lot more manageable than it is when you have no idea what the fuck's going on in this matchup. Is it a fair matchup? What the fuck in this game is fair, right? At the end of the day, Hwoarang is allowed to be a very strong character because he typically lacks a lot of defensive options that he can't be punished for, right? He doesn't really have a dick jab. Even with this fancy new hop kick, it's not like he suddenly turns into this unbeatable monster that you're seeing take tournaments. All I'm saying is this. It's a fucked up situation. I 100% agree. It is what it is. And this is going to be a running theme with Tekken, is that you play the game as it is, not how you wish it to be, right? It's you accept that it's a fuck situation. Hwoarang's a really an annoying character, and that's okay. That's okay. And you just bunker down. You learn this matchup, right? I'm pretty sure I posted Maxwell, the Maxwell, the Jin player. He posted like a lot of Hwoarang critique or Hwoarang feedback and kind of like, hey, look, here's what you got to do in the Hwoarang matchup and stuff like that. Remember when Hwoarang used to be Bob? Like, people just didn't give a shit about saying his name, so they just called him Bob or Korean Bob. Was that ever a thing? Or am I just going crazy? Anyway. Where the fuck is this character? Yeah. Okay, I did post it. Look. Oh, it's JDCR. Fucking Maxwell. Anyway, he posted his entire just kind of like, hey, look, here's what you need to do against Hwoarang, right? And I'm pretty sure it's updated for season 3, most of it, right? But the idea is that you just do what you can about the matchup, and then it makes things a lot more manageable. That being said, let's take a look and see if there's actually, all right, here's what you can do and reduce your bad habits and stuff. Ah, good times. Okay. Right. You do clothesline, right? You do lariat, whatever you want to call it. Sure. Sure. That being said, rushing back in like that, don't do that. Don't do that. Never approach with moves. Approach with movement. Movement. If you're facing a passive opponent, okay, maybe you can approach with lariat and like try to freak them out into pressing buttons. But the general start, if you're still trying to figure out what your opponent is, and if you're not sure what to do, what their habits are and stuff, you do not approach with whatever you're doing now. Lariat's like borderline okay, because if the opponent sees you doing lariat and stuff, anytime you do lariat or dark upper, you just risk whiffing into a launch punish from the opponent. So be very judicious in when you choose to lariat, right? The start here is like fine, or the start here, this is fine. You applied some pressure to try and like, freak this guy out or whatever, but to then just immediately, it looks like you're about to do forward 2-1, right? Like he's doing that little. Oh, do you have inputs up? You do not. That's fine. If you post for future replays, try to have your inputs here so we can see what's going on. I'm willing to bet money that you press forward 2-1 there, right? Why? Why are you gonna press forward 2-1? What is your goal? Forward 2-1 is a whiff punish. It is not an approach tool. Anyone with a smidge of AK knowledge just ducks the follow up. You have nothing. You have nothing to really threaten your opponent with. It's only a high, right? And if let's say you're doing on that next level, right? You're on that next level, like I'll just do forward 2-1, and they won't challenge you because they're afraid of the high, which is fine. But now you've put yourself at range 0 against your opponent at -11. What are you really gonna do, right? You can argue that like, oh, I have this mental frame advantage, and that's true. Oftentimes, the best kind of frame advantage is mental frame advantage, right? If your opponent's too scared, you're good to go. But it's just kind of like, against Hwoarang especially, because you need to have your movement accessible at all times, right? You want to avoid any situation where you've done a move that ends your turn and you're unable to move around. Is that going to happen? Are there going to be situations where you end your turn and you kind of have to take the mix-up? Yes. But you want to avoid putting yourself in that situation as much as possible, right? Even though 4-2-1's safe, even if they don't duck it, now you're -9 at range 0 against a Hwoarang who gets to apply whatever mix-up he wants against you, right? It's just not a fun situation to be in. So try to avoid doing that. Okay. Oh. Well, that was good. Okay. I don't know if it was an execution error on your part, like if that extra down forward 1 was supposed to be another. So this is like a very, it's like a minor thing because it's really hard to keep track of this stuff, right? You got to keep in mind of pushback, right? Like you hit your opponent, you got your mix-up, you got your guaranteed mix-up opportunity, which is good, right? You did your down forward 1, you do down forward 1 again, but he blocks it. And keep in mind that he's constantly moving back at this point, and down forward 1 on block is only -1, which is great for you, but that also means the opponent can also move around, right? So your grabs aren't necessarily going to reach. If you're, maybe it was like an input error, but the time that you want to start buffering in grabs is right here, right when the first down forward 1 hits, because down forward 1 on hit is +7. So the Hwoarang cannot backdash, he cannot sidestep, whatever you do, he has to duck. If you were to grab him here, you most likely catch him out of his backdash. But because you go for the second one and you get it blocked, now the Hwoarang has enough time to like backdash. You do not have enough time to like input your grab, buffered or not, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just pointing out that's like, remember to take advantage. There are going to be times where it's like you doing another down forward 1 here, down forward 1 in this situation is like the safe strat of like, all right, let me just mid check him again, and it's very low risk. But you got to keep in mind of like, you might not always have that luxury, right? Of, all right, I can do another down forward 1, which is going to be a safe check and chip in for some damage, but you also risk losing like a bigger mix-up opportunity where you have here, right? So sometimes you just got to know of like, all right, I'll just do the first down forward 1. If it hits, boom, grab instantly, right? It's not to say that this here was a bad strategy. It's just kind of like, don't go for the throw because it's not going to work out. You have to take into account like pushback and stuff like that. And this is a lot to take into account. Where this is kind of like you have to process all this information in a very fast like moment. But that's something that's a skill you'll build up over time. It's more about be aware of these situations of, okay, my move hit, I have this much frame advantage, and here's what I can do in this situation, and kind of weigh your options and just kind of go. Sometimes you just go, all right, throw time, baby. And sometimes you're like, let me see if he's still gonna duck afterwards. Both are perfectly fine options, but you have to make that split second decision of, all right, am I gonna commit to my mix up, or am I just gonna go for the safe strat? All right. So everybody loves down back 3. All right, I love down back 3, right? Here's the problem. Earlier in the game, you approach with Lariat and you're constantly like dashing it, right? And yeah, you have forward 2-1, but a lot of times, a lot of like online AKs, it's always like Lariat or Dark Upper. They're like, dude, I have the read. I'm gonna Dark Upper him. It's gonna be so sick. And then the opponent just ducks and it whips in their face. This is the same idea with down back 3. Down back 3 at best is like a keep out, don't sidestep tool, right? It is not a let me dash in on my opponent and try to like do this on them, right? Okay, so now congratulations, you hit your opponent. Now what, right? You can't. You're too far of a distance to really leverage the frame advantage while standing 2, which is going to be your best option in terms of like reward. Doesn't work here. While standing 4 is not going to reach as like a safe interrupt. Down back 3 is kind of chunky, but now you're just kind of like, all right, back to neutral, which is fine. My problem isn't that. My problem is the usage of down back 3 in this situation of, okay, I'm in neutral, let me advance in on my opponent and do down back 3, and that's it. Whereas if you did forward, neutral 2, now it's like, okay, you're +7 on hit, and let's be real, if he's not going to duck down back 3, he's not going to duck forward, neutral 2. You're +7 on hit in your opponent's face, and then boom, guaranteed mix-up opportunity. Because remember, at +7, the opponent cannot backdash, the opponent cannot sidestep, they have to take your mix-up. Am I going to duck, or am I going to block, or am I going to, what is it going to be, right? So where you're using where you're using down back 3, use forward, neutral 2, right? This dude just does not duck. Okay, I rewinded too far. All right, so you got the lariat, nice. I don't use the ground throws, right? Just go for your guaranteed damage with stomps or something, or poke with down 3+4 or something. The ground throws, you're putting in all this effort of like, all right, my opponent is definitely not gonna break this throw, and if you time it poorly, you just wasted now you have no like movement opportunity. You're kind of locked in place. The Hwoarang can recover and then put in a mix up on you, right? Or the throw gets broken and you kind of like, I don't know. I'm just not the big fan of the ground throws. They're cool, they're hype, but you just kind of, it's not a risk per se. I'm just the bigger fan of the guaranteed damage, but at the end of the day, you do you. Just practice and make sure that that's guaranteed, right? You would have been much better off if you just did forward 4, because he's gonna get up quickly. He blocks the forward 4, and now you have kind of like a good pressure situation going on, right? I don't think that you go for the ground throw. Just go for your forward 4. I'm a much bigger fan of guaranteed damage or advantageous situations. Was that a read, or you just wanted to fucking drop kick him? I mean, it worked out, but he was already committing to backlash, which is fine. That was good. Oh, nice. Way to go. Don't. Uh, it's like the very first round, so we don't know if this person's like a masher or not, like what they do under pressure. And you do want to test that, but don't finish the string, right? Like if he just stood ducking, he's gonna launch you. And Hwoarang does decent damage, right? Just I like down 3+4, right? I'm a big fan of the move. It's just a solid, really long range poke, right? Now it's a poke that leaves you -5 on hit, but fuck it, it's like just chip damage. It is what it is. Just don't finish the string like this. The more strings you finish, the more bad habits you're gonna build up. And it's not like I'm saying you deserve to be crucified for doing this. All I'm saying is this: is that your muscle memory is gonna betray you. That when you're in an ambiguous situation, your brain's just gonna autopilot into like, fuck it, I don't know what to do. Let me do like a quick down 3+4 or some shit, or down back 3, and then an opponent who's either familiar with AK or just is familiar with your habits because you do a lot of like high attacks, just ducks, and then you die for no reason. It's not about it's about making sure you are using the move because you know your opponent is going to let you get away with it, versus using a move because you're on autopilot and you're just kind of like you're a creature of habit and you just have all these bad habits that you've built up over time, right? It's not about, it's not about like, oh, only good AK players never use this string. I like the move. I'm not exactly the best AK player. Granted, I fucking just play Paul now. It's just making sure to save yourself headaches in the future of, hey, look, I noticed that you're doing this move. It doesn't look like you're really using it out of a purpose. You're just kind of autopiloting it. It's a bad habit that's going to get you killed in the future. Just make sure to rein that in. That's it. Oh, I mean, you punished it, but yeah, no, that's tough. See, this is another one of those. This is one of those matchup situations. The moment you see that kick, and you can shoulder him. The problem is that he can like. Oh, I think this one you can launch. The problem is he has like 4 different versions of that kick. One of them's launch punishable. The rest are like -13. Just make sure to shoulder this or 2-1 or whatever, depending on range. But you got him with your punish. He's dead. Nice. Dude, the Leo, dude, the back 2-1-2, godlike. That's another situation. Online Hwoarangs, early on, they fucking love that string. This low into high safe launcher. If you're pressing a button or if you're holding forward or whatever, you get counter hit. That's all guaranteed. The moment you see that low, just duck, just duck. He can't do a mid directly after. He can maybe cancel into a string. I mean, Hwoarang pros. JDCR, Maxwell, help me. If he can do a mid directly after, then rip me. But you're going to see that a lot. You see the low, even on hit, I'm pretty sure you can duck. Just always duck and launch him after the high. All right. What is this? What's going on here? I mean, I love the move. Death Sandwich is like the funniest move name in existence, right? What are you hoping to do? I mean, he doesn't punish you, so it's whatever. I mean, rip there. Don't. It is perfectly okay to just move around the screen. You don't need to throw out moves. Stop throwing out moves. The more you throw out moves hoping that your opponent is gonna, dash into it and get counter hit, the more risk and bad habits you're gonna build up in the future. When you face someone who is stronger than you and is able to just kind of hold back and they see you whiff, they're gonna whiff punish you into oblivion, right? Take it from someone who loves throwing out his counter hit launchers and safe launchers, right? You just stick to movement. If you really need to do something, try to throw out like a long range poke, right? Like forward 4. It's not like Hwoarang's gonna punish you. Forward 3-4. People stop using that string. Forward 3-4 is so good, right? avoid these commitments to these strings and moves that are just gonna get you killed, especially at the ranges you're at. Imagine you just whiff from this far out, and the Hwoarang sees this, and all he has to do is Peacekeeper, and he does whatever the fuck he did there, but whatever. And you're pressing afterwards anyway, so rip. You know, rein in the excess moves of just be okay that it's like, all right, just movement. That's it. And the mix-up, oh. Oh, I mean, it worked out, so whatever. Rip me. Again, again with these call-out moves. It is... What the Hwoarang hasn't done a single low this entire time. He did the low high launcher, which it's gonna hit you out of capital punishment. Trust me, right? Just let's keep going. But yeah, don't do that. Oh, way to go! Way to go! Nice conditioning. That's what we'll call it, conditioning. Oh, this round seemed to work out pretty well. Yeah, wait, that was sick. I gotta see that again. That's some gigabrain strategy right there. Oh shit, nice. Oh fuck me. Everything I'm like, don't do it. You're gonna die. And it's just working out for you. So rip me. It is what it is. God damn, every play in the book. Oh, I've been bamboozled. What was supposed to be a critique was just you flexing on this Hwoarang. All right. Let's see how the other round went. Maybe this is the one where you lose, or if you're just posting another win. I guess whatever. Is this right after? Oh, it is. All right. Let's see what happens. Okay. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Of like, yeah, man, you just gotta accept that this is a fuck situation. So he's doing a bunch of strings on you, and well, the first one is that you're pressing into whatever he's doing. This is a situation where this is good. This is good. This is perfectly okay, right? You're just blocking, and this is gonna save your life. Don't press into this, man. Don't press into this fucking like edgy chuny Korean chuny wannabe, whatever, right? It's gonna get you killed. You just block. This is a character that's very string heavy. And this dude clearly loves his strings. You just accept it, and you gotta wait for the opportunity of, okay, the string is over, and that just comes with labbing the matchup and just kind of getting a feel of like, okay, this is it. But you pressed into it. It's unfortunate. Now he gets his mix up and stuff. Let's see how it goes. Nice. I think that's a one break. Yeah. Okay. This is another like matchup situation. Every Hwoarang is gonna fucking love that throw, right? This is no longer guaranteed, right? This is no longer guaranteed. What you have to do against it, your guess is as good as mine, buddy. We're sorry. Ask Maxwell, the Jin player. This is no longer guaranteed, and this is a common situation of people just really love that throw because it leads to that. This used to be guaranteed, right? You just didn't break the throw, get fucked. Maybe it was like something else that was good. Whatever. I'm rambling. You gotta be a watch out for these specific situations and be ready for them. If you run into this matchup a lot, there's no amount of generic advice that's gonna help you. Like, you're gonna hit a ceiling. You're gonna hit a ceiling, and or a plateau, whatever terminology you want to use, and it's gonna come down to you hit the lab, you learn the setup, and the next time you run into that setup, you'll be prepared. Will there be other setups that you're unprepared for? Yes, of course. Tekken 7, and Tekken in general, it's a fucking cheese factory, right? Everybody's got their cheesy gimmicks and setups. It is what it is. But labbing one setup means one less setup you have to deal with. And it could, if it's a very common setup, it could be all the player, that's like all the gimmicks that they know, right? And all of a sudden they're just freaking out because it's like, oh, my best strategy is out the window. And your life is that much easier, right? So just do what you can to lab that situation. Nice. Okay. Actually, I wonder. Where the fuck is the frame data? Tib, I miss you. Hope you're doing alright. Forward 4, down back 3. Okay, so down back 3 is like 2 points more damage. It doesn't matter. Forward 4 is a really, really solid move, right? And especially if you hit the person meaty, like if they wake up into the later frames, your plus is this really real? Is it active for that long? Right? Forward 4 is a really solid move, right? And it's just kind of like, if you land lariat, just do forward 4. Unless you've practiced like, oh, if I land lariat at this distance, I can launch him, right? Just do forward 4. That move is godlike. It's just such a nice situation to be in. A down back 3 is nice. You got your damage, but you can put your opponent in a much more disadvantageous situation if you use forward 4 from there. Fuck. Oh, that was perfect. That was perfect. Oh, bruh. That was a bruh moment. All right, look, friendo. Why are you gonna dash into this Hwoarang who's not in any sort of, he's just in neutral, and do a 23 to 28? Is that really that active? That's crazy. A really slow ass move right there in his face. Why would you do that to yourself? All right? You're just asking to get counter hit. It's not even about being seeable at that point. It's just about like, you're just asking to get counter hit. Man, you couldn't write a better punchline. A tragedy. A tragedy. Look, man, the move is good. Use it when your opponent is forced to deal with it. Not, let me dash in my opponent's face, do a 23 frame move against a character with as many counter hit launchers as there are like cities in the fucking world, right? Like, just, you don't do that to yourself. There are moves that are good, right? But they are slow, and you have to use them in situations where the opponent is forced into dealing with it, right? You want to limit your opponent's options, like when they're backed into a corner, backed up against a wall, etc., face down on the ground from stuff like lariat, and they are forced to deal with that move. Just dashing in like this and then doing this move is just asking to get counter hit launched. And it's Hwoarang, so he has the combos. I don't know what to do with Hunting Hawk. Or is that Hunting Hawk? Whatever. That's another lab the situation. And also don't press buttons, but whatever. Man. Ugh. I felt so bad. I fucking hyped up that move so much. It is what it is. Okay, yeah, this is pretty brutal. Nice! Okay, OK setup. Oh, okay, alright. This right here, this is where you do forward 4. Forward 4 hits grounded, right? And you have plenty of time to do the move before he can even do a move. You don't just let me dash up and then just do like, please launch me, right? This is basically all you did. You did a hand wave. You just waved away your opportunity just like that. You're just like, no, I don't need an opportunity. Just launch me right here, right now. And if the Hwoarang were better, he would. This is the risk of the string is nice, and down 3+4 is a really good long range low poke, right? But if your opponent's just ducking and you just died right there, right? Let's see what happens. Oh. Oh, okay. That's a. I'll talk about that later. Rip. I think he gets better damage off that, but whatever. Okay, so yeah, that happened. let's do the summary. All right. Neutral. Punishment / matchup knowledge, combos / Oki, and personal opinion stuff, which I'll go into later. Neutral. You're throwing out too many moves. You are over relying on these moves that have explosive rewards, but either put yourself at too much risk, or your spacing is horrible and you just kind of do the move, right? Focus on doing moves that don't put yourself at so much risk. You want to focus more on reducing the amount of commitment you are making to your moves, right? Why are you doing sidestep 2-1 in the open, right? Death sandwich or whatever. Why? The Hwoarang's not dashing in on you. Even if he's dashing in on you, opt for forward 3 instead. It's a long range kick that will easily have better range to work with than just sidestep 3 or sidestep 2-1, right? At worst, if you're at like closer distances, maybe sidestep 4, but you don't want to whiff that move because that move is death on whiff, right? And Hwoarang has one of the best whiff punishers in the game, right? You're in all these like crazy random down back 3s in the neutral because you're just kind of hoping he's gonna dash into them, and it's just like a you're constantly just throwing out moves, and it's like these at this point I have nothing to go on besides like these moves are too ingrained into your muscle memory and you've built a bunch of bad habits that need to be broken out of, right? And it's just kind of like you gotta rein it in, just tighten up the moves, less moves, more movement, right? Dash blocking is your friend. Sidestepping is tough. You gotta try to figure out when to sidestep Hwoarang, but that's a whole different scenario. But just less of these moves that an opponent who's just at a better range or better at punishing, because God, this Hwoarang was awful at punishing. It's like they would just demolish you. You're putting too much risk on yourself on a character who can't really afford to take that many risks, right? But let's continue. Punishment / matchup knowledge. There's like some common stuff that you can punish that you weren't punishing, and it's like, yeah, you just might not have known, right? Check out the Hwoarang matchup channel in the Discord, right? There's a ton of videos, a ton of write-ups about here's what you do against this fucking annoying character, and you just gotta start chipping away at it, right? You don't have to learn the matchup overnight. Nobody becomes amazing at Tekken overnight, right? It's about you build up that knowledge over time and you piecemeal it, right? Don't look at Hwoarang as a character and look at his 10,000 move list and go, all right, I gotta learn everything. I gotta like learn this matchup tonight. No, you one move at a time, one situation at a time. Focus on the moves and setups that you commonly see so they don't become such headaches for you. And then you build up that knowledge over time, right? Combos / Oki. Your combos were fine. AK's AK does good damage. Your combo structure was pretty good. Your Oki was horrendous, right? There's a lot of questionable situations that you're putting yourself in, as we saw previously, when you just kind of you're letting the Hwoarang get up into basically without having to worry about anything, right? Because think about it. Look at the situation right here. When was he at the wall? Was it later? Okay, yeah. So right here, you get your combo, blah blah blah. So if you instead in your previous Oki situations conditioned him to expect, let's say, forward 4, right? Here, now you have the world is your oyster, right? You can do forward 4 neutral 2. You can do a throw right into his wake up, and he has to kind of guess what it is, right? Because the kings have like a real throw game, even in Tekken 7, right? Giant swing would suck because you'd lose the wall, but it is what it is. You get a lot of chunky damage out of it because, let's be real, this dude's not teching giant swing, but that's a whole nother discussion. If you conditioned him previously with, all right, I'm just going to keep doing forward 4 on wake up, I'm just going to keep doing this mid on wake up, so they freak themselves out and just always wake up stand blocking, boom, all your lows are online, all your throws are online, right? And if they still wake up crouching, once you be aware of that, that's fine. You just keep doing forward 4, right? On hit, the move's +7 force crouch, right? And that's an amazing situation to be in. The opponent's options are so limited. Their fastest move, if Hwoarang had a dick jab, or I guess he does from force crouch, whatever, their fastest move, a dick jab, would be 17 frames, if you think about it, right? It's amazing, because the world is your oyster. So really tighten up your Oki situation. Look into options about like, all right, what do I do against the wall Oki? What do I do against neutral Oki and stuff like that? And that's because your opponent's wake up is where you want to condition them to really be afraid of your mids or be afraid of like certain mids. And then you can start conditioning them and lead to better rewards here because now you can start doing like tombstone and stuff like that. All right. Anything else for Oki? I think you completed Lariat for the combo? I don't think you had to. Oh, you're kind of far from the wall. I don't know. At the wall, remember, down to 3, 4, or whatever. That's really, really favorable Oki situation for you. So remember that option. But yeah, the biggest thing was just kind of like in the neutral ground in Oki in general. You just never conditioned your opponent to duck. So then it leads into situations like this. Where... Or you never conditioned your opponent to stop ducking, right? To be afraid of ducking. And yeah, AK, there's the meme of AK is just you just duck everything he does and you never have to be scared. Don't worry about that. Just do forward 4 on your Oki when the opponent has to wake up into it. Don't just dash into the move. Dash in, do a 23 frame move against a character with a million different counter hit launchers and be like, yeah, this time it'll be different. It'll work out. Right. What is it? Talked about neutral, talked about punishment, talked about Oki. Personal opinion stuff. Options that I think are neat, but your preferences may vary. Yeah, there's just a lot, right? Like I'm a big fan of down 3+4 as a poke, not as like a let me just do the string in neutral. Just think of it as like this. It's like your unseeable chip damage, right? When you're dancing around in neutral with movement, you just do down 3+4, and that's fine. You just accept that the turn is over, right? Just a lot more of like AK's single moves. Down 4, down forward 1, down 3, stuff like that. Just a lot more of that to try and, again, reduce the amount of risk you're putting on yourself. These options are not necessarily as like explosive. They're not like your big fancy Tekken moves. They're the small, arguably just as fancy Tekken moves because AK's down 4-1 is solid, right? But they are so vital to avoid putting yourself at so much risk that it's always important to utilize them. And when you're approaching forward neutral 2, forward 2, okay? Those are your bread and butter. Those moves are amazing. Forward 4 too, right? Like who would in the neutral, what is the Hwoarang going to do against forward 4, right? Forward 4 neutral 2, it's like, yeah, it's launch punishable on block. Oh no, it's an unseeable low, right? Well, I mean, see how fast this thing is. 19 frames, and it high crushes. It's an unseeable low, right? With the forward input, you're looking at like 20, 21 frames maybe. Doesn't matter, right? It because of your forward movement, because you have forward 2, you have dash blocking, etc. You have so many ways to mask it, and it is basically unseeable. You're really leaving a lot out on the table by not using that move more, right? It's +7 on hit, which is the frame situation that AK wants to be in. It's a counter hit launcher, right? Everything you would want. So utilize those moves a lot more. Forward 2, forward neutral 2. Sometimes forward 4. Like if you did forward 4 here, right? Boom, you get a nice wall bounce into combo, whatever. Just again, it's about these moves that if you want to use the big moves that don't put you at so much risk. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've rambled on enough. I've said my piece. If you have questions, let me know. And don't take my tone the wrong way. I'm not trying to mock you here. I'm not trying to like say you're trash or anything. I'm just saying is like, look, I'm seeing you use these options and you are worse off for it because these options just leave you in a bad place because it's just not the situations you want to be in as AK, and B, all I'm seeing are bad habits that you're building up and that are just going to get you killed later on, right? It's not necessarily, stop playing Tekken. It's just about like, look, keep an eye out for these moves, keep an eye out for these habits, try to work on them, try to reduce them. It is not the end of the world if you use those moves, but it will be the end of the match. When all the opponent has to do is duck at the right time, and then boom, like 80% of your health is gone because all of these things are launch punishes, right? So you just have to be careful and try to rein that in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You're in the critique channel. Steve's always lurking there, and the AK Discord's always lurking there. The chill people. All right.